You may recall, as we talked about this on the show yesterday, about that Australian couple who was traumatized after a woman died mid-flight, and then they had to sit next to the body for 4 hours on the flight. We're going to talk more about this with our travel expert, Claire Newell, who joins us now. All right, Claire, the airline has since apologized, but
yes,
are there not policies in place when something like this happens?
Yeah, first of all, this is just a horrific story, and I don't know what I would do if I had to sit beside a body for 4 hours. But it sounds like on this Qatar Airways flight, there was some protocol that was followed. Standard protocol would be that the flight crew would inform the captain as soon as possible. They would inform the family. They would confirm the death. They would contact the authorities so that upon landing it would be dealt with, and also they would make sure that they covered the body with either a blanket or a body bag and move the body to an area where there were fewer passengers. Now, I can't confirm how many seats were open on this, but it sounded like when I listened to the interview of Mitch and Jenny, the couple that were on board, that there were some seats that were available. So in that case, protocol should have been to actually move them and get them so that Mitch, because he was the one who sat beside the body for the majority of the time, his wife Jenny was moved to a different seat just because passengers said that there was a seat available and they could move. At the end of the day, there was one step that seemed to be that was not quite protocol, and that was that this couple and the rest of the passengers on board had to wait on board for authorities to come and then remove the body. And normally, I have heard that procedure would be that you would actually remove all the passengers, family would stay with the body until then the authorities came on board. At the end of the day, yeah, the airline apologized to them, but boy, I sure hope that there was some compensation for some counseling, because I know I would need it in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people are wondering. I know yesterday this couple said that really the duty of care had not been met by the airline yet, so you would hope that they would extend at the very least some counseling for those affected on this flight. Also making headlines this week, Claire, I want to have a look at this video from a plane spotter in Chicago that shows a near collision between a private plane, here it is right here, well, this is the Southwest jet, trying to land, and then you can see this private plane cutting across a runway. What more do we know about this and what happened?
We don't know much, but that Challenger jet was literally meters away from that. And this was called an incursion, where an airplane is on the runway where it shouldn't been. A real testament to the pilots here. Now, the air traffic controllers are responsible for keeping the runways clear and safe. And it's really early stages of the investigation here. We can't speculate on the cause, but really, why was that private jet on the runway when a commercial jet was about to land? I'm concerned about the bigger picture here, because currently FAA jobs are being cut. Controllers, air traffic controllers, are currently under a really a great deal of stress. They're having to justify their jobs to the DOGE chief, and that is Elon Musk. There are 10,000 of these air traffic controllers that control the airspace in the U.S. Many of them are working what's called mandatory overtime. Mandatory. They're working 6 days a week and 10-hour shifts. So to me, I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out how important air traffic controllers are. They were asked to justify their jobs in like 5 bullet points.
And that looked really close, that video there, for sure. Mm-hmm.
All right, Claire, finally, we have video of smoke coming from the flight deck inside a Delta plane that was forced to turn around about 30 minutes into its flight on Monday. What more can you tell us about this?
Yeah, at this stage, we don't know what the cause of the smoke was. It's not been disclosed, but they did follow procedure on this. 30 minutes into the flight, it turned around and landed back in Atlanta. Atlanta Fire and Rescue assisted. They deplaned. Really scary for the passengers on board. I can't imagine being on a plane where the smoke is wafting back from the flight deck. The crew themselves must have been frightened. They were evacuated using all of the emergency slides and, exiting on the plane's wings. Luckily, the 94 passengers, 3 flight attendants, and 2 pilots and there were no injuries at all. And FAA is investigating this situation as well. But what a week for airplane stories.
Mm-hmm. No kidding. And a scary situation there, to be sure. Just finally, Claire, I want to ask you about this Leger poll. 56% of Canadians saying that they will not travel to the U.S. in this year, 2025. And we've got some new data as to where Canadians are heading instead.
Yeah, so the newest Leger poll, 56% not wanting to travel to the U.S. Just last week, it was around 48%. So the sentiment is growing. But Canadians still want to travel, and we're finding that they're going to places like Vietnam, Mexico, Portugal, Eastern Europe, so Hungary, Poland, Czechia, Thailand, because of the White Lotus effect. Really, all of these places have one thing in common. Our Canadian dollar goes a lot further there.
All right. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you, Claire.
Thanks so much.